Welcome to the first video about vision science research. My name is Jennifer Lantrip, and I'm a health science student success librarian at Pacific University. This video will cover developing research questions. During this video, we'll take a look at the Optometry Research Guide, also for vision science, the evidence-based practice process, what steps the library can work with you on, the literature search process, keeping a research log, and PICO or research questions. You can find the Optometry Research Guide by going to the library's website and clicking Guides. You can find the links to the databases that we'll discuss today. Evidence-based practice involves combining client perspectives, your own clinical expertise, and internal evidence about your client, and external evidence from literature when making your clinical decisions. The steps include assessing your patient, asking an answerable clinical question, finding relevant evidence in healthcare literature, and appraising the evidence you found for its validity and acceptability. Finally, you would apply the evidence to patient care and then evaluate your patient's progress. The library can help you with the research-related steps in this process, which are asking clinical or research questions, finding evidence, and appraising the evidence you found. When doing literature searches, your goal is to find the most relevant information about your topic, which means you'll want to be very specific about what your question is, which will help you determine what you're looking for. You'll also need to use good search techniques to find all of the relevant information. Next, you'll appraise the evidence you found so that you understand its validity and where it fits in with the other literature on your topic. When doing systematic reviews, your goal is to find a complete or at least representative sample of available eligible studies on your topic. You'll need to search multiple sources and types of sources because no single source will contain all available studies. For databases, I recommend doing an initial search of all of these databases for your topic to see which ones contain relevant studies. For those that do, I would suggest doing an in-depth search for your topic. You'll definitely want to check the reference lists of relevant articles that you find. Similarly, you could do a cited by search of relevant studies that you find. PubMed, Web of Science, and Google Scholar offer this feature, which allows studies in their databases that have cited the study you're looking at, or which shows studies in their databases that have cited the study you're looking at. You could also contact authors directly to find out more about their research. You might also want to look at conference proceedings. These will often appear in your search results in Web of Science and PubMed. You could also check dissertations and theses in clinicaltrials.gov to see clinical studies in the US and over 200 countries. The link at the bottom of this slide will bring you to the systematic reviews section of the Vision Science research page, where you can see this list with links to each source. When doing research, you'll thank yourself if you keep a research log. This will save you a lot of time. In your research log, write your research or clinical question with your PICO elements, the databases you've searched, the search terms and filters you've used in each database. Get the complete citation for each source that you find as soon as you find it, and get permanent links to sources. In databases, don't copy the links into your web browser, which may break, but rather look for a permanent link. You might see them labeled as bookmark, share, document URL, or permalink. Also, write any notes about the credibility of the source and the relevance of the source, specifically what information it provides to help you answer your research or clinical question. So let's get started with our clinical or research question. I'll use a clinical question for this example. If you don't have a specific clinical example, but have a research question in general, you can still use this type of form to help you think how to identify the components of your research question. The purpose of PICO is simply to help you identify the components of your research question, which will help you brainstorm search terms and stay focused when you're searching for and selecting sources. Essentially, PICO helps you break down your question into 4 parts. P stands for patient, population, or problem. This would include the relevant characteristics of your patient, including if there's a subset of the population you're researching. It would also include the specific condition or disease you're addressing. For example, we'll look at myopia in children. Our patient is 5 years old, so we'll add age 5 here. I stands for intervention, prognostic factor, exposure, or diagnostic tool. Essentially, this is what you're considering for your patient. In our case, we're considering using 0.05% atropine as a treatment for our patient. C stands for comparison, and it's what you would like to compare your intervention to. In our case, we would like to compare 0.05% atropine to 0.01% atropine. So 0.05% atropine would be our intervention and 0.01% would be our comparison. Sometimes you may not have any comparisons, and so you would just leave that space blank if you're not comparing your intervention to anything. Finally, your outcome would be what you hope to accomplish. In this example, our desired outcome is effective control of myopia. Now that we've identified our research question, our next step will be to identify what types of sources we would need to give us the information that we need.